Really happy to have you here. And yeah, you know. So this is a new era for Foo Café. Due to pandemic situation we have the possibility to spread out really well here, as you can see. And we also have done something during our break here. So now it's a time for change. And that's what we have done since March, since we haven't done any events. So we have been thinking a lot and trying to figure out what to do in the future. So we have a brand new venue thanks to Internet Stiftelsen, the Internet Swedish Foundation. And so we moved from Media Revolution City, which has been our home for more than 8 years. And this is our new home. Go to 10, and we also have a great flexibility. We could do events up to 1,000 people nowadays. So there is nothing stopping us. And also we have invested in new tech. And Sofia, my colleague here, is taking care of the live stream. And the future is here. We call it hybrid events. Events with people online and on site. So, but we still believe in the on-site events where people actually could meet. And that's my other colleague, Nia, taking photos. We need to document this evening. How many of you actually attended our first event at Media Evolution City? How many? One. Anyone else? 2, 3. Oh, wow. Yeah. And 4. 4. Wow. That's really nice. I'm surprised. You've been hanging around in the industry so long. And yeah, and we also have a new service which we have launched just recently, and we call it Job Board. Job Board is not a traditional job board, it's a reverse job board, where you, as developers, or into the IT industry in somewhere and somewhat, you could actually put your ad on our website for free. And there will be companies that will be interested in you just because Foo Café is Foo Café. So, since we always has been for the community, and we have tried to do our best for the community and collaborate with geeks because we love geeks. And that's why we also have a very good relationship with Internet Stiftelsen. Aisha over there, she is the queen of community management at Go to 10. Yeah. She's super sweet, and she's also ambitious as few, with always a smile on her face. All right, so we also have a brand new collaboration. And so how could we collaborate with the community in a new way? And I'm really lucky to have so many friends around me. And so my friends Anders and Vadim just started a company called SenseMake, and they thought they could help Foo Café in the best way possible. So they created something we call Foo Lab. Foo Lab is a way of thinking outside the box with the community, for the community. And we really don't know what this will take us, but we know it will take us somewhere. And so these guys are very good in change management. Change management sounds like boring shit to me in many cases, because it's just, if I would like to do shit, I do shit. But sometimes it's a little bit harder than just doing shit. So we need to engage the community. And you see here on the screen that Anders is all alone, and it actually doesn't really work because we need to have you on board as well. So we have defined 4 different roles in Foo Lab. We have a core team. It's Aisha is among the core team. We have Daniel from Pinme 2. We have what else? We have Jens from Odd Hill. We have Sanna from Mine Park, and we have Michael from Learning to Sleep. Did I remember all of them now? Yeah, okay, good. That's the core team. They should just be helping us in seeing things in new ways. And then we need ambassadors. That's where you are coming in. If you think that there is some topic here which is super interesting, I would like to be the moving man or woman in this field. You're most welcome to come to us. And then we need volunteers. Foo Café has always been working with volunteers, even though the volunteers doesn't look upon themselves as volunteers. They're just doing things because they think it's fun, because they're passionate about it. So, and then we have, in the end, the big masses are supporters, and we have loads of supporters. Due to, even though we have the pandemic situation here, we are sure that we could have social distance. Still, we are doing an event here with like 50 people tops. You know, maybe we are 48. So, yeah, maybe. Hopefully, I haven't counted them all. But that's the 4 roles. And then we have 3 different tracks in the Foo Lab. We call them the core team, which I talked about. And then we have the experiment. We are testing things. Everything according to design thinking. It's a double diamond mystery. So, and of course communication, which is super important to actually explain what we are doing. And we have 3 different simple guidelines. We call it collectivism, which is that we should do this together. Ownership, there is someone who is taking ownership for something. And of course, the transparency is that everybody could contribute, will contribute, and when they don't want to contribute anymore, they just opt out. And it's super important that we have that we talk freely to each other. All right, so I don't know. This slide is. I should put that in the end, actually. You could contribute to Foo Café if you want, but I think we will introduce Anders, our main speaker today, just because since Anders is working with change management, I think it's important that we have a talk about change. Was that clever? Really clever, yeah. So just give us just like a minute or 2 to change laptops and microphones. And once again, I'm super happy to see you all here. Thank you very much. And before, just take it out. And we have a photo booth over there, which you could use, and you will get nice photos from this event. And we will be here at least till 10 p.m. So, and there are more booths. So just enjoy yourself, and I will be back.
Hallå? Mot hakan så. Så. Är det så här du vill ha mig? Låter jag bra nu? Thank you so much for that warm welcome. We're going to talk renewal today. I've named this presentation the 3 what if of renewal. You can think of it of 3 fears that might inhibit you from doing change or doing the change you need or want. We're going to go through these. But first, I want to appoint a big thank you to Foo Café and Mikael for having us here today, for inviting me to have this speech. But first and foremost, for having the courage of renewal. You just heard him talk for 15 minutes about things they are doing in a new way, in a time where it would be really, really easy to just stick your head in the sand and hope for survival. Like hope for surviving, to live to fight another day. And that's what many of us are doing right now. But Mikael and Foo Café, they are showing that the times we're in right now is the opportunity for renewal and for doing something new. And that takes courage. And I would like to thank Foo Café for showing us that courage. Some of us might need it, okay? So renewal. Why do you need renewal in the first place? Why is renewal something you... Should it be over here? Oh, such freedom. But then I won't see my notes. I'm prepared for seeing my notes. Okay. One reason you might need renewal is to catch up. When things have ran past you and you might not be doing as good as you were doing before, for whatever reason. Or it might be that you are ahead, but you're afraid that someone or something you're competing with might catch up with you, and you need renewal to be in the position where you already are. Or of course, familiar right now when you need to adapt to change, something that is happening around you. I have no examples at the moment, but if you use your imagination, you can probably come up to something on your own. But also, sometimes change has a purpose of its own. You might just be tired of where you are right now. You might just need a change for change's sake. And that's fine as well. If you're in that position, you need renewal as well. And sometimes you don't. You don't need a change. You're perfectly fine where you are. But then maybe you should think about renewal anyways, because sometime soon, change might be upon you. And if you haven't changed for a very long time, you might have difficulty doing renewal when it comes upon you. So doing changing a bit might be a good idea, even if you're happy where you are right now. So how do most of us do renewal? How do we renew ourselves? Step number 1, realize you have some sort of problem or some sort of idea of what or where you would like to be where you're not right now. Step number 2, capture all the information and knowledge you do have about the situation. What is my problem? What's the properties of my problem? What is my desired state? Where would I like to go? And what are all the problems I might encounter on the way there? And how will I defeat those problems? And then you would probably figure out some super mega awesome solution to solve all these problems, to go where you want to be. The solution. And if you have that solution, the answer to all your problems, you make a plan, and you stick to that plan, and you execute it flawlessly. And then you will have renewal. You will be where you need to be. Right? Sure, if it works. If you had all the correct answers from the beginning, if your solution was the best solution, and if you actually did execute it perfectly. But you might not, right? So all of this is about certainty. You need to be certain that you had all the information, that you answered all the questions correctly, and that your solution was as good as it was intended to be, and that you actually do execute it flawlessly. Because if even one of these steps fail, this execution will not help you end up where you want it to be. Okay? So we're going to talk about the alternative to this. There is the certainty approach, which is this, and then there's another approach, which would be more of a exploration approach to renewal. Okay? Digging into the first fear, you remember the 3 fears of renewal that might inhibit renewal. The first one is, what if I am wrong? So this fear might end up I'm going to give you the next slide. So you're in a situation where you have a complex problem. Something very uncertain is upon you, and you don't know where to go. Normally, there are 2 alternatives. Alternative number 1, I need all the information, because if I have all the information, then I know where I need to go. Then you are in, what did I call it now? The kingdom of need more information. That's what we call that land, okay? Or have you ever been in a group where you share such a situation together? You're in a very complex situation where you don't know all the properties of the problem, and you discuss over and over. Maybe you have meetings, and you have more meetings because the meeting where you were supposed to answer all the questions just ended up with more questions. And then someone says, now we have talked about this forever. Let's just decide where to go, what to do. Just pick something. Both these are options that are quite popular. If you are the assertive person, the person that just sets down their foot and says, now we need to make a decision, then you get points. But you also get points when you're the person, we need more information about this. Because what if we are wrong? Then we're taking a big risk. Both of these options are popular alternatives if we want to get points, for example, in a group. Guess what my option is? Yes, another alternative, the more exploratory approach. We're going to get back to this. Who knows about this person? He's my idol. I said, who knows about this person? Okay, go get the book. The book is called Alchemy. It's about how to make magic in business and communication, and it's awesome. Rory Sutherland is the vice chairman of Ogilvy, and in the book he says this: we should also remember that all big data comes from the same place, the past. Ooh, am I picking a fight with big data right now? Yeah, in a way I am, because one of those persons in the group we talked about right now is the person that's going to say, but if we could just make the right analysis of our situation, then our decisions will be correct. You know, data-driven decision making and so on. But in a complex and uncertain world, there is no way to predict the future, no matter how much data we have. We can make some calculations and we can make some prognosis, but we're never going to be sure. We need to trust our judgment that where we're going is where we want to go. So I want to take a stand for this statement. When you are collecting information to make decisions about your own renewal, it's not a matter of having the correct information, to answering all the questions or telling each other that I know that my alternative on where we should go is the best one because I have the best data and the best report to prove it. What you need is information that you can use to take the first step and start learning. This is another way of putting it. The exact amount. I have calculated this. I have collected lots and lots of data, and I have put it in my very big data machine, computer machine, and I have My AI has calculated the exact amount of data and facts you need to start renewal. And the exact amount of data is enough to take the first step and learn. We're not writing scientific reports if we're doing renewal for ourselves or our context or our organization. We need to prove stuff to each other. We have a job to do. And for that job, we only need enough information, enough knowledge, enough facts to get started. Because as soon as we get started, we can learn. Let's conclude what we have learned so far regarding the first fear, the fear of what am I doing wrong? If you take the certainty approach to renewal, you will probably handle this fear by looking for correct answers, as much information, as smart analysis, and as good answers as possible. Or you take the exploration approach, then you will explore perspectives and you will look for the information and the answers that are useful for your renewal journey. We'll have a vote later. Okay, moving on to fear number 2. What if I fail? What if the solution I pick is not the right one? And how do I know that the solution to my problem is the best one ever? We're going to talk about 2 common options. The first one is I have found a solution. I have Googled and I have found a solution to the problem. It worked for some guys. They said it was good. They are similar to us or to me. So therefore we should try it. Sounds good, right? In this case here, they are the same age, same geography, they have the same capability as us, they have the same problem, so why wouldn't their solution work? Well, simply because at least when we're talking about human beings and behaviors, what we see on the surface is not enough to figure out what's going to work. It's a matter of context. So just looking at someone else and judging that they are probably as us, they have the same problem, the same situation, the same context as us, is simply too superficial. Might work, might not work. So context needs investigation, truly investigation, to understand if they are as similar as they look. So this sort of disprove the practice of best practice to begin with. But then there's another alternative. Like you might be thinking, I have a solution to my problem. It's not the best practice problem. It's not the best practice solution. It's something that I created myself. And I've done my homework. I have calculated all the data. And I have invented the best solution to this problem that could possibly ever be invented. I have thought of everything. It's the solution to end all solutions. Sure, go ahead, try it. It's high risk. It could work. But there's also a big chance of ending up in a live volcano at the end. And then you would have put a lot of effort into one big shot. Sorry, you didn't see that slide while I was talking. Now you have the context. Remember when I said one solution to end all solutions and then talked about the volcano at the end? Now you would have understood the joke. Sorry. Okay, so what am I proposing instead? You might not be surprised. I propose experimenting instead. Instead of putting all your eggs in one basket and just counting that it will work, I suggest try many things. At first, try many small things. And then when you see they work, try larger things. And be honest with yourself. Meaning, if a solution you really like didn't work, then you need to kill some darlings. And then you change what didn't work. Okay, let's conclude what we have so far. In the certainty approach, you would handle this fear, the fear of what if I fail, by rely on one really good solution, and you would make sure it's the best one. But in the exploration approach, you would probably rather experiment with many solutions, many options to solutions. One more fear. Maybe the most difficult one. The one that's most tricky to handle, most tricky to know what to do. Because it's not based on the same sort of rational factors. What if the path I'm onto, what if I'm trying to do make me look bad in the end? Maybe because I fail, or maybe because what I found out to work is something that's not expected of me, something that no one else has tried before, something completely new. It's all about expectations. So what's expected of me? So the easy thing to do here is live up to expectations. But if you think about it, what are expectations? Expectations are what you think others think that you should do. There's a lot of subjectivity in that, right? So there are at least two layers of assumptions if you want to live up to other people's expectations. But let's assume you do. You do want to live up to other people's expectations. I have two different sets of strategies. The first one is try and mitigate the risk. So say you want to do something that is different, that might make you look bad if it doesn't work. You can try some of these things. I'm getting practical and giving advice right now. Strange. Like, first thing is get a buddy. Have someone to tell you when you're trying stuff out that it's not you that's crazy, it's them. That person might be valuable to you when you're trying new stuff out. Advice number 2, experiment out of sight. Like, you don't have to do everything in the open. Say you're in an organization and you want to try completely new ways of doing stuff. Hire a camper and do it in the parking lot at the beginning until you see stuff actually working for a bit. And then maybe get a bigger camper, and after that move into one of the rooms. Number 3, get someone important on board. This is the old influencer advice. If your buddy is someone who's someone, then it's going to be much harder for other people to tell you that you're crazy, because then they have that person to deal with. And number 4, double check those expectations. Because you remember, they had at least 2 layers of assumptions in them. It's what you think others think that you should do. That's a lot of assumption. Maybe you can try that out. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe they don't expect that from you. Maybe you got it all wrong from the beginning. So try it as something small and see what happens. Maybe it doesn't blow up in your face. So maybe you can have the courage to do something larger. And by doing these things, you can slowly change the norms. And how hard it is, how tricky it is to change the norms so that you can get more courage to try bolder stuff out, of course, depends on the context. If we're talking about changing the world, then the norms takes a very long time to change. But in small groups, it's faster, right? So that's strategy number 1, trying to mitigate the risk of looking bad. But there's another another strategy. Just jump. Just jump and see what happens. Because you remember what expectations are? It's what you think other people thinks that you should do. And why let that stop you? Okay? At least when it comes to people that you don't really care about. Oh, sorry, that sounded bad. People whose opinion you don't really care about. You cannot please everyone. So let's conclude again. If you do have the fear of looking bad, and you apply the certainty approach, then you will probably do what's expected of you. when beginning something new, you will ask yourself, when you go into this situation, what's expected of me? And then you will try and check the boxes. And if you realize you need something unique, say you are creating a new product and you want people to want that product, so then you want something unique with it, you will sort of fix it in post, add some surface on top, and say that it's more unique than it actually is. But if you apply the exploration approach, then you will probably just care about the people whose opinion matters to you, and you will try to actually win some hearts along the road and do something that matters. Those are 3 fears. So we're gonna conclude the whole thing. You just saw this. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna let you have a look at it for 15 seconds while I'll drink some water. Have you decided which path you want to take? The certainty approach or the exploration approach? You don't have to answer. But we're going to talk a bit about what you're ending up with if you choose the one or the other of these 2 approaches. So let's first have a look at the certainty approach. The worst case, you have put all your eggs in one basket. You have put all your trust into your correct answers to your smart questions, that you have all the information. You have created one awesome solution to your problem, and you have tried to execute it in one masterful execution. So that's taking a lot of risk, right? So your worst case is you end up with one big fail. And then you have nothing, and you have put a lot of time and energy and passion into this thing, into this renewal, and you have one big fail. But the best case is you could actually succeed. It could be the case that all the information you got and all the answers you collected were the right ones. They were true, all of them. And that the solution you created fitted the context and the problem perfectly. And that you executed your renewal flawlessly. And then you might have success, but more likely you will end up somewhere in the middle of the road. Or, I'm selling the exploration approach quite hard, aren't I? That's the point. The worst case with the exploration approach is that you have done lots of small fails. Or not that many, because you realized early that it wasn't going to work. So you decided to choose something else. But what you did get, even in the worst case, is a lot of learning along the road. And in the best case, you ended up with something that was very much you, that was true to your heart, that won some other people's heart, that was novel and truly admirable. So what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that the certainty approach, looking for the right answers and all of the best solutions, leads to regression towards mediocrity, towards the middle of the road. And we should all ask ourselves if that's where we want to be. And being more exploratory means it allows for something truly awesome, for winning some hearts, and for you to be special. So maybe these 3 fears, the fear of being wrong, failing, and looking bad, maybe those fears aren't what we should be afraid of. Maybe what we should be afraid of is the fear of what if no one cares. And that's all I had. Thank you very much.